okay. Probably should have taken my socks off, but whatever. So that is about center. I'm actually going to try to come up as high as I can, too. I really want to get that good drip. Hey there, fellow creators. Ben here from Cinder Studios. In this week's vlog, I'm starting out in my kitchen because it's Sunday the 3rd of April. And I'm hoping to actually get this vlog, do all the vlog stuff throughout the week and actually be up on time for a change. So I do have studio stuff that I want to do this evening. It's just after 6 on Sunday. But I've got a pork roast that I really want to make. A stuffed pork roast. So I need to get my glove out and do some finessing in the kitchen, because not all art is done in the studio. Also, if anyone out there is vegan or doesn't like seeing raw meat, I've only really, I'm not great at doing this, doing a stuffed pork thing, but I've done a couple of them, and I love doing them. Spoon that in there. I used to do this with toothpicks, but I ran into the problem of forgetting where I put the toothpicks. Okay, so pork roast in the pan. I'm actually starting this with mustard powder, and then we need liquid. I'm using a little bit of dry sherry, because I love cooking with wine. It's delicious. The purge and the remaining wine in this will create something of a glaze by the time it's done baking. And screw it, since it's out, I got some citrus. Little lemon juice. Never underestimate the power of citrus. That's going to live in the oven for about 45 minutes. Okay, so I'm back in the studio for at least a little bit tonight. Probably not going to paint. I did a little bit yesterday. This was actually the weekend that my artist interview from my old high school art teacher went up, which I was really excited for. I was looking for other projects. I showed him a couple things that I still kept from those eras. But while I was looking for other projects, I found that some of my old artwork, this one was from college, it molded. So this was a fun graphic design-esque thing. It says Breath of the Celestial Giant. Have one of these funny creatures going wah and like breathing out a comet or something. But like, most of this I have to completely cut now, which sucks, but I mean, it's 10 plus, this one's like 11 or 12 years old now. So I have to just cut it at this point. Foldery thing that the whole back of this has a mold spot on. So I don't know of what in here is actually still okay. This guy, on the other hand, I think part of the issue is the fact that this breached, which means a lot of what's in here is not going to be salvageable. So I'll show it for the last time here. If you guys actually want to see any of this, like really see any of this, I did a whole video that was showing off my old art. So chances are this is already on the channel anyway. Those are canvas boards. They're okay. Yeah, that's college, I think. Yeah, that's all right. Maybe I didn't lose as much as I thought I did. Ooh, nope. Here we go. We found it. Photo print that happened. This was hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Looks like crap. Oh God. Yep. God, no salvaging that. Same thing with this. Pastel portraits from a class. You can literally see it seeping through. It's ripped. Oh, ooh, that's mold. Oh God, this is dangerous mold. I gotta be careful here. I probably shouldn't even be handling this right now. The worst part about this is these are straight to the trash because I can't salvage this. This is too much mold. Oh my God, I don't even want to throw this away, but I have to. Oh my God, I did not want to lose this one. Oh, man. And this is the thing that was keeping it in, which it literally, like, everything seep through. Yeah, make sure your storage the compartments are sealed so that doesn't happen to your work. All right, so with that stuff out, sorted, and unfortunately disposed of, now I get to move all this stuff out of my closet again. I did this somewhat recently, and it was like, oh, this is good, because now I can clean behind it and all this stuff, and I can reorganize it and not have to do it again, because I've got a problem, and now I have to find the problem. It could just be a basement moisture thing, and the fact that art is 15 years old. 10 to 15 years old. Well, hold on. 12 to 15 years old. I had to think about it for a second. But I do want to come through and do some scraping, do some hardware stuff for this. But I gotta be honest, I don't want to do that right this second. I'm probably going to do it throughout this week. There honestly cannot be that much moisture in here, in general. So I've got stuff to do. Also, just realized I didn't wash my hands from handling that mold, so I'm going to do that right now. The last thing I would need is to get sick from handling art mold. Okay. That would have been a great video if any of those pieces were actually salvageable. Like a little bit of mold. If you're able to catch it, for most things you could probably either wipe it clean or find some way to, like a Q-tip or something, just extract the mold and rework the piece if you needed to. But those pieces were way too moldy, warped, and beyond saving. So cut your losses. Same thing with like house fires or anything. Like just cut your losses, start over. You can do better things now. And honestly, even seeing those pieces, I'm now kind of inspired to take some of those ideas a step further. Now that 15 years later, I know a little bit more about how to do those things. Not everything you do as an artist is ever going to be brush to canvas time. It's why I do these vlogs, because of shit like this. But I'll see you guys later this week. Well, hey everybody, mind the PJs. It's Monday evening, a little after 9. Trying to figure out what I'm going to do in the closet here. So I scraped some stuff down, got some stuff out, got into the corner, and all I can see is that I don't have any water leaks, but I think it's just a matter of residual moisture for this time of year. So I guess at this point it's just going to be pile everything back in. Well, I do want to paint back there where I've scraped. But I do want to get something for all the old artwork as well. So I've got this box-ish, folds out. I think there was a piece of paper in this at some point. I've been saving this to ship something in the future, but I think this is going to work really well to put all the old art in. Okay, so it is now Thursday. Just got home from work, figured I'd record down here as soon as I get in. So I have a couple things I want to shout out, which is pretty neat. Well, first things first, I've finished the closet stuff, put all the stuff back. Did that late last night. Today, so if you haven't been updated through the other vlogs since late last year, I don't work in healthcare anymore. I work for this other company that has their big main headquarters is in Germany. So every now and then there's stuff that gets sent to us. Well, every week we get stuff. We get shipments from Germany, we get shipments from Malta, we get shipments from all over the place. And I've been finding that things that they send us periodically have paper packed in them from whatever, like pack something with newspaper. So this is a thing that I grabbed a couple of weeks ago. That it's all German stuff and manufacturing, that kind of thing. And then today, there was some newspaper that I think is Italian or possibly Spanish. Not sure. I'll put a still of some of these up in the corner of the video here. Maybe one of you guys can tell me. It looks like it's probably Italian. I see a lot of Z's. Z's usually indicate Italian. Like the two Z's in the middle of a word. This has got to be Italian. Anyway, so I snagged these rather than just throwing them away because I haven't done a newspaper mixed media project in a really long time. And I thought, man, what would be really great is to put something in the background that isn't English, something that chances are nobody can really read around here. So I was like, that would be cool. So I grabbed a stack of paper, and we'll use that for studio projects in the future. Okay, so I changed my clothes, had a snack. Probably should have eaten dinner, but I'll eat later. It's not a big deal. Wouldn't be the first time I've eaten late on a weekday. While there is orange juice in this, that's not the only thing in it. Because it's the evening. Let's grab this white paint and make some poor decisions. Okay, so in order to do what I have the idea for, I need to roll this rug up in case I have any splash damage. Extra large area here. 'Cause it is going to splatter. Like that's the idea. Use this as just an extra carpet protection. See, this is bowed. That's not a good thing. It's the opposite of a good thing. That is the kind of splat I was looking for. So I'm gonna push it around a little. But for the most part, try to keep as much of that splat as I can. Actually, we'll just pour out the bottom of that. That's good. Okay. Couple of air bubbles in there I gotta punch out. About like that. So, the idea here, hopefully, is that what you see as this center is the only place I'll actually be painting. So the side and that and the backdrop I won't touch. I might glaze it or something to offset the color, but everything else is going to stay. Ooh, I've got a. That's interesting. This was an underlying air bubble, and it created a loop around this, or another shape around it, so it's another empty spot. I wasn't even expecting that to happen, but hey, I'll go with that. I do run the risk of having sort of cracking and crazing on this surface, though, because it's latex paint. It'll do that in thick applications. But I feel like that's a decent start. Okay, well I gotta put this somewhere to dry. I might just go back on the floor over there. But if I can find another hunk of wood that I wouldn't mind doing this with, I might try again. Okay, these ones are very, very, very much a bad idea. Small poplar wood bases. The color on here is the RNF pigment sticks, the oil sticks. They're very dry. They're not. The oil's not going to come loose. I don't know if this is even going to stick, both either short term or long term. But my goal here is going to be to put a splat, a little blobular splat, right in the middle. So I'm not using anywhere near as much paint. But again, in terms of longevity, paint sticking to paint, high chance this will flake off in a short period of time, and by short period of time I mean 10 to 20 years short, rather than 50 to 70 years in terms of other long-term conservation ideas. But this is so dumb. But you don't innovate as an artist unless you try new things. So just quick. That did not work. Cool. I'm not centered. That's the problem. That one's better. That's closer. I don't want to disturb the lower splat a ton, but yeah, so like that. That one's all right. This one there's actually not enough in here. I wonder if I can actually just spread this out with a little bit more up close. I can already see some resisting happening with the oil, especially on the thinner side. Wish you guys could see this from this side. It just occurred to me that I'm rotating it kind of the wrong way, but... Well, not quite what I had in mind, but it worked-ish. Okay, so I feel like between these three, we should be okay for some interesting concepts. Now, I know the wood will be okay. The wood won't warp the same way that the other thing probably is already warping. Definitely don't want that stuff in there. Wow, God, that's the problem with latex paint. The viscosity is so thin that it gets literally... I'm just like leaning my arm on the table and I'm getting... Yeah. So there's some people that use the latex paint for gesso, and while it kind of works, it's not a good idea. The worst part about this is I want to grab my other canvas with the painting I'm working on, but if I grab that now, I'm going to have white paint all over that too. Tell you what, the paint itself has made this really heavy. Yeah, that's something I already realized I didn't quite think about was, oh yeah, you're going to have to clean all this up later. Good news is, no paint on the rug. I mean, it's a basement rug, it doesn't really matter a ton, but nice to build yourself a versatile space to do stuff in that you can subsequently never use as a tax write-off because it's a multi-purpose space. Okay, as long as I'm careful now, I don't touch the front. Sit this back, don't touch any of the paint that's wet. And I think we're okay. Oh, good morning. It's Saturday now, 8 o'clock. I'm actually going to start out today by going grocery shopping, but I really want to tell you guys about this just spooky dream I had last night. It was kind of like Matrix-esque, but sort of this utopia. It was really, really odd. So, I kind of want to get this written down too, before I forget, but I figured I'd put it on video, because that's easier. So it was sort of this, like, world where you had to, at least what they told you is you had to die to become a part of it, which... for the most part, people weren't really choosing. They just kind of woke up like, oh yeah, you're dead in the real world, so we put you here. And so you kind of have access to everything that you had in the world when you were alive. So you have like all your social media accounts and everything like that, but you can't access them. You can just look at them. So you can't really do anything when you're in the world because everything is really controlled. And it's controlled by sort of this, for whatever reason, sort of like this Chinese puppet government, where everything is controlled through digitally, and you kind of like live in like this tight knit, like 6 people in a tiny apartment kind of thing, and you're all piled in there together, and people come and go all the time, and for like it's one of those things where it's like, depending on your wealth, that also kind of reminds me of what's that movie with Matt Damon, Downsizing. If anyone saw that, where it kind of depended a little bit on your wealth status before you died, so to speak. And so if you, part of it was also like, if you use our money on this specialized bank, and if you follow all of these rules, you will do better. But if you don't do any of this stuff, we're just going to shove you in the lowest class part of the society, which is where I was for whatever reason. So I was there, and there were people that definitely chose to be there, and people who definitely didn't choose to be there. And I actually started running into people that I knew, people that were friends of mine. Specifically, this one friend of mine, and he had kind of bought into the world, and he was trying to make it who he was, and make it trying to better himself that way through their rules. And at a certain point, I started to realize, I'm like, wait a second, what's going on here? Because I still feel alive, and there's something going on. Like, why do we have to use their money? And only like nothing I had in the other world, and they don't let us have access to any of the things that we liked really, and anything. Like, if you try to be who you used to be, they essentially erase you. And so after a while, I started kind of like
easing into there was like this guy I sort of became friends with at whatever this job was, and I got him to kind of start hacking into the system, and we started to find like the cracks and where things weren't really lining up, and I started to realize that we're not actually we didn't have to like die and come into this world. We're all actually still alive in the first place, and because they control everything. And control the media and the money and everything else. It's done in such a way that people don't really question it. Weird metaphor for society, I think, in a lot of ways. And around this point in the dream, I actually started to kind of wake up. So it was semi-lucid. I was drifting in and out of that state. So I could then kind of start weaving the narrative in a slightly different direction. And then it became like, while you're in this world, you can have like this giant mech suits, but they also kind of zap you of your life. And it kind of ended just as I was starting to wake up, like for real, a few minutes ago, where it was my friend and talking to somebody else, and they're like, "Don't you realize that these suits like zap you of your life energy?" And like rips it apart and like throws it over this hill. Not like giant mech suits, but I guess body enhancement thing. And she's like, by the way, your friend died. And with me, basically. So it was like, he's like, oh, that Yako guy, he's dead. And at this point, like, it finally cracked him the rest of the way, to where he's like, this ends. This is where it has to change. And that's when I actually woke up. And it was spooky. Like, whoa. It's like, I'm saying this out loud. Like, this is a great story that I have to write now. What's funny is that's where actually a lot of my fun story ideas tend to come from. So I'll wake up from a dream like this and have everything in detail. Everything in detail. I don't know where it came from. It's really just such a meshing of ideas. I guess and it's like wasn't trying to think of a story. It's just like, hey, here's a story, and it's awesome. So at some point, I guess I have to write that. I think that's what happened with King of the Wind. I woke up and I was like, ooh, this is a fun idea. There's another couple stories like that. I woke up and it was like everything was in my head already. Okay, I'm gonna finish my juice and go shopping. I'll be back with you guys in a bit.
Alright, so I am back. It is just a little bit before 9:30, so that was good. Took me about an hour and putting groceries away and stuff. Couple of plans today. Nothing monumental, but should be in some interesting things. So I was at the grocery store. This is kind of fun. If I have to shop on the weekends, I don't like shopping on the weekends, period. I like to shop during the week because it's less crowded and the selection tends to be better since people aren't buying things like crazy. I saw people walking out with these boxes that I haven't seen in a really long time, since I haven't been to the grocery store early in the morning on a weekend in a really long time. And they're donut boxes. I'm like, oh, hell, I'm getting donuts, because I haven't had grocery store bakery donuts in God knows how long. Also, it's pretty rare that I eat breakfast at all on a Saturday, especially in the studio. So, got myself a regular raised one and a crawler. Used to not really like these, but they grew on me as I got older. Also, there's some people will call these Boston creams, but they make two different kinds of them around here. I don't know if it's the same everywhere else, but there's Boston creams and they're filled with pudding. Not a huge fan of them. But these are, if they're not called crawlers, some people around here will refer to them as a Pittsburgh cream. Rather than pudding, it's just they pump it full of white icing. And some on top, so it's tasty. I just use this as a napkin. Alright, those things are dry. They actually dried in a day. I'm going to grab them, talk a bit about my process going forward with those, as well as what else I've got going on today. These turned out a lot better than I thought they would. As you can see here, this one did warp out a bunch. It's not horrible, but it was to be expected. So I do want to work on fixing that. Easiest way to do that usually is to paint a big X on the back with the same paint. And these, yeah, I didn't think this was going to work at all, but this actually, these turned out great. So these are definitely going to be the testers for a different kind of landscape kind of piece. Should be really fun. Good thing to sell street shows and stuff. I got the date for the Lawrenceville Art Crawl is July 9th, if you happen to live in the area. Or want to drive or fly in for it. So I got to start thinking about what I want to sell there. I also got to call or contact PayPal because my credit card swiper doesn't work anymore for whatever reason. It just decided to quit working. So I'll probably have to get a new one of those, but I can't just order a new one of those. They send them, and I don't know. So yeah, so there's those. I'm also highly considering running down to Blix today. I don't strictly need anything, but between that project and I was thinking all week, ever since I put my pastels in this little box and I got to see all the colors in it, which I think was either last vlog or the one before that, I was noticing that some of my color spaces in here aren't really where I want them in terms of what colors I have. So I want to lean into I think some more like yellows and oranges, sort of the warm color space, red, orange, yellow. I've got a couple of blues, a couple of greens that I'm really happy with. I might get another green. I gotta leave this out so I can actually think about which ones I'm looking for. Or better yet, probably before I leave, take a picture on my phone so I know which ones I have so I can then compare them to the ones in the store. And pastels are one of those ones that I would much rather go to the store because I can actually see them. The pictures of them online, the colors never seem to be accurate, so I'll run down there, I think, probably around lunchtime, a little bit after. In the meantime, I do want to work on this piece. And there's something else now. I completely forgot what it was. No, that might have been it. It was just this sketchbook and things, and thinking about what project I want to do after this one, and everything like that. So I'm going to eat, roll some paint out, and get started on this thing. Okay, so I'm kind of getting, I guess, towards the end of this piece. It didn't turn out quite as well as I was kind of hoping I was going to do. I think it was just the fact that I haven't really been able to work on it a ton and spacing out all the time differences between when I could when I could paint versus when I had all this other stuff to do. So it kind of broke up my mental state for this piece a little bit. But I feel like it's all right. Not one of my best space pieces, but I can still probably do a little bit of fudging in here with shadows and things towards the end. But so one of the other things that I want to look for when I go down to Blix, as much as I, again, says like, oh, I don't have to buy painting sports at all this year. Well, since I have this idea with the splat of paint, I want to see if I can get a at least a 24 by 24 square wood panel. And then when I get back, I'll leave the car in the garage and do a big splat of that in the garage. Because it's not super warm today, but it's it's not so cold that it's actually not snowing for a change. It was raining off and on earlier, so it should give me enough of a sort of gap, I guess you could say, that and I don't have to worry about laying down cardboard. I can just make a mess of the floor because it's the garage and it doesn't matter. Also do need to clean the garage at some point. Yeah, I love doing these zinc white bubbles that represent sort of like this artificial atmosphere. Really fun to do on a space piece. I don't usually like taking it too far down. I like to kind of keep it more ambiguous the further down we get, but you still want to be able to see the city to some degree. I think at this point I'm just going to come in with my smalt and darken in some of these areas to make the craters pop a little more. I didn't want to go crazy with that initial detailing layer, so yeah, a little bit of that and a signature and I think we'll be good to go. Alright, so I'm going to give this one more final touch. I wasn't going to do this, but I kind of need to for the sake of balancing the piece out. I'm going to put a little glowing star up in this corner because right now there's all this bright here and there's just dead side on this side. For pretty much the only reason why I'm using the white acrylic gouache is because it's the right viscosity for this. I don't have to worry about thinning it or thickening it or whatever. I don't touch my acrylic gouache for basically anything except this, and the only time I'm ever using any of it, it's just the white. So when my other colors are gone, I'm just going to get the white. I don't find that acrylic gouache is super useful, at least for my techniques. And I got to cut this in half, actually. Stamping out some lines here. Ding. And we can rework that center a little bit more. And the slightly broken line of that works really nicely. All right. Yeah, if you want a good paint to sign your acrylic pieces in, try using acrylic gouache for that because you really get a nice flow with it. All right, I'm gonna tilt this a little. We're April, right? Yeah, April. That's not terrible. I'm sure someone will like it and buy it. That's all that really matters anyway. Okay, so it's still quite early. We're before 11 still. I might end up going to Blix a little sooner, but I do want to get another piece started. So I looked through my sketchbook here to see which one was sort of next in the wings, and there's several. But I think the one I want to go for currently, I was going to put this on a bigger canvas, but it's a fairly simple idea, and I think it would just work better for this. It's another same size as the other one was a 12 by 24, I think. All right, that's light enough that I can see it, but not too dark that dark enough to see it, not so light that, or something like that. Hopefully one of you guys knows what the hell I'm saying, because I sure don't. I still have not completely decided on what color to make this, though. That's the problem. I feel like it would look good as like sort of a fiery red, orange, yellow kind of stuff. But I also really like the idea of doing like a blue to purple. So I'm actually, since I don't want to fire up the tablet or anything right now to do a quick digital, which is totally doable. I'm going to do the old-fashioned way and use pastels. I'm just going to get a sheet of regular drawing paper here and a pencil to box myself out a couple of compositional thumbnails. I don't have to go crazy, I just need a general idea of where the color is. I'm not worried about laying this down thick. Also, I'm picking up on the cardboard texture of the table. And then the problem with this set right now is I don't have any good dark browns. Have any of those in here? Yeah, there's one in here. This will be fine. Yeah, so this will be like a darker foreground then. Would end up being sort of a deep blue or purple. Oh, I gotta start writing down these colors that I'm thinking about. Yeah, I really don't have a good deep blue in the set. Here's a bluish gray, that'll work. All right, so the idea with the clouds is to kind of start them thin and then work them wide and up and around like that. Couple close, but then they really kind of zigzag up, sort of like they're all kind of converging in and spiral in towards the sun. All right, that's rough color idea 1. Lighter, brightish blue, something like that maybe. Morning light kind of thing. Oh, that would actually probably be better. Used the blue too quick. So with the morning light thing, I'll actually do like a yellow sun and then do a transition of white to blue, because if you don't do the white transition, it turns green. I've been meaning to do more stormy cloud sky anyway. I think this might actually work. All right, this is a greenish color. This will be fine for this for now. That's my thing. Yeah, I like that one better. So here's the two. Redder, bluer. I'm really leaning towards it. I mean, it probably won't be as dark as this. I'll really work the light out a little bit more, keep the clouds darker. But I think this is probably the better option. All right, that feels really good. Because I used a little bit of the open in the sun, I'll have to let that go a little bit before it's dry and ready to be applied with the clouds. I ended up going with a little less violet in this corner, but I think I'm going to utilize that more when I do the clouds, especially going out and back. I feel like that's going to be a better use of the violet. So from here, I can actually grab that gray paint marker that I wasn't going to use initially, at least for the foreground elements, mid and foreground elements. Since, of course, as always, I lay those down and immediately cover them up. Ooh, this is the crappy one. That's all right. So, I had this little like butte of a structure in here, up and down. More blocky sort of step. Here. Our figures are in here somewhere. And this will actually have a couple like little wires essentially coming down off of it, but I don't want to put those in now. I want to weight, because they're going to be super thin, paper thin lines basically. But yeah, so sort of like a desert, not a lot of vegetation. I might make the hill grassy and then ease that back into sand down here. Actually like that idea, I might go with that. I did that on my piece, The Cathedral Rises. Let's do this, give myself the indication of that grass line. Bigger grassy sections up here, you know. Okay. I think that's a good starter. May or may not work on this more later today, but I do want to run down to Blix before it gets too busy today. It's probably already busy. It's a Saturday. So, yeah. Okay, figured I'd grab a little phone footage for the way up. Decided to park further away because I didn't want to pay for parking. And sure enough, everything's already crowded. Despite the fact that it's kind of rainy and miserable today. So, yeah. Alright, so I'm at a red light here. I'm on my way back now. Bought more than I should have, as usual. But it was under $100, so I'm okay with that. Did not get the 24-inch panel, but I did get a 16-inch panel. So that's close enough. And we'll play with that when we get back. Okay, so another red light, and it just occurred to me that I didn't buy a single tube of paint or a single brush this trip. So, progress, maybe? Or maybe that's a failure, I'm not entirely sure. Okay, back in with a change of clothes. Looks like the sun might still be a little tacky, but that's okay. First things first, before I even get to the bag, I need to sand this down and throw a layer. I'm putting clear gesso on this, because I still want to keep the wood grain on the edges. But I also need to get that going as soon as humanly possible, because by the time I get through all these, hopefully the clear gesso will be dry and then I can just do the dump. Oh shit, this is pouring medium. Crap. Well, I mean, I'm out of clear gesso. It's pouring medium. Whatever. It'll do the same thing. It's really, like, this is really soaking into the wood, which I, again, would much rather do that with the medium than have the latex paint just soak into it. Great if that was, I mean, that would work if that's what I was kind of going for, but not for this. No idea why there is a bottle of pouring medium on my gesso shelf. Here's the clear gesso. I switched them. Oh damn! I knew I still had some. Okay, so I think a little cardboard is still in order, just to help with that initial splash. It can go any which. You know what? I'm getting a flatter piece. This is ridiculous. All right, that's there. I decided to opt for putting a piece of string in the wrong place, apparently, but a piece of string on the bucket to try to give myself a guide for where center is. Which, so hopefully when I tilt it, paint will drip down that, but hopefully it shouldn't go crazy with what's going on with the canvas. All right, this I actually also want to give it a little bit of a stir. It's starting to really thicken up because the lid's not all the way on, but it should work. Okay. Probably should have taken my socks off, but whatever. So that is about center. I'm actually going to try to come up as high as I can too. I really want to get that good drip. Oh! Oh! All right. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. All right. I use a little more of that loop around like I did last time and spread it a bit. Oh man, look at that. All right. So yeah, that was good. That didn't go too crazy with the string. and it definitely kept me centered. Oh, look at that. Look at that pattern. That's wicked. All right, I'm actually going to try something a little different too. I'm going to put that string back in there, in the bucket, and get it covered for a little extra finesse on the canvas. Yeah, because now we got a little bit of a, we'll get more strings doing this. Spin it round, spin it round. Yeah. Bet you've never seen painting techniques like this before. All right, that's pretty good. Oh man, this would have been great on a bigger canvas or a bigger piece of wood, but this is the biggest square thing they had, so that's what we're going with. Oh, God, this is great. All right, let me get the camera a little closer now that I know nothing's gonna get anywhere else. All right, there's a closer look at that for you guys. I'm gonna grab my knife and pop these bubbles, and maybe a toothpick actually might be a better idea. Just occurred to me that this is one of the greatest things about having like your own place and such, because it's just like, if I did this at my parents' house, they would have pretty much killed me because of what this did. But man, also there's a huge, look at that big chunk of crap in there. All right. Pop bubbles. And this, what's also really cool about this is when this dries, this is going to be, it's probably at least 3.5 millimeters high in terms of how thick this is. And it's gonna stand off. So the whole piece is gonna be that level of texture. Also, I see another big dried plop in there. Oh, this was such a fun idea. Is that another one? That's another one. Yeah, you can tell the paint's on its last leg here. I mean, there's, again, like little surface level bubbles I'm seeing, and some of those will dissipate. I noticed some of them do show up, but I can't do a ton about them. I mean, the sheer fact that when it hit the canvas, it caused all those errors. Like I could have stirred the paint, but it would have still done this. Just the nature of latex paint itself. But this is going to be such. And what's interesting too is like, so this is a square canvas, but I've essentially created a circular painting canvas within it. I'm going to try and clean this up. All right, well, I'm thinking that this is a good place to call it for the day. Man, like, just doing that put me in such a great mood. It's like having that idea brewing forever. And what's interesting is you guys kind of saw those test pieces first. It's important to test on small scales before you amp it way up. Especially since I didn't, like using the string to center that, like I wouldn't have thought to do that on those ones. And if I went straight into the big one, I would have had like, things would have been off balance. So test small scale, just kind of the same thing as doing a sketch. I'll get back to this next week, or maybe tomorrow, who knows, because that's looking really cool. So yeah, thanks guys for checking out the studio vlog. I hope you guys had as much fun with this one as I did. And let me know your thoughts and comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Get subscribed if you're not already. Keep on creating, and I will see you guys next time. I'm just covered in paint now.